So the first thing I want to talk about is the difference between the things I've mentioned, okay? NCAA is the one that we typically associate with the big schools, right? Division I, we're watching March Madness right now. We see those teams. Those are NCAA Division I, okay? We also have NCAA Division II. So Division II is slightly smaller school, still providing some athletic scholarship, all right? Then the next level is Division III. So I'll be honest with you, most of our athletes from Andrew play Division III after high school if they're going on to play. Occasionally we get some Division I, get a few every year, whether it's baseball or track or soccer, things like that. So we get a handful every year. We get a few Division II. There aren't a ton of Division IIs. Lewis is a good example of a Division II in the area. And then Division III tends to be where a lot of our kids go, and I'll be honest with you, their experiences have been great. So don't count out Division III. A lot of people count them out because it's a small school and they don't give athletic scholarships and things like that. But coming out of Andrew, most of our athletes are really good students, and so the schools will often find a way to make sure that they're getting academic money if they're an athlete, if that makes any sense, okay? But it's a great balance in Division III. It's a great balance between the life, student, and athlete, and that's what we found. So Division I and Division II, the commitment tends to be, you do get some money for it, but the commitment is different, okay? The other thing about the money, this athletic scholarship money that a lot of people, they have a misconception about. If a program gets 9 scholarships, it doesn't mean that they're giving out 9 full scholarships. Often what it means is they're taking those 9 scholarships and dividing it among all the athletes or multiple athletes. So some of my players I've seen that have gotten athletic scholarships, a lot of times it's a partial. And then they still have to rely on either academic or grants or other things to help pay for college. So keep that in mind. NAIA, a great example of an NAIA school is like St. Xavier is an NAIA, so it's a separate league. They're not as closely monitored in terms of like recruiting. They can give as much money as they want for scholarship. The competition is slightly different, but it's another great opportunity. So St. Xavier would be a good example of an NAIA school. And then of course the junior college, that would be like your Moraine Valley, okay? They do have sports. They do offer scholarship money to play those sports there. So that's something that you can pursue if you're interested in I still want to play, but I'm not ready to commit to a full college athletic experience at this moment. And then NERSA is the last one. So NERSA is the one where if you go to a big school, like myself, I went to U of I, we didn't have a varsity men's soccer team there. We did have a club team though. So the club teams, when you try out for those teams and you make them, you're part of NERSA, okay? You get no money for it. And a lot of times, some of the cost comes out of your own pocket, but it's an excellent school life balance. Because then you can focus on academics, but still get to play your sport at a high level. So something to think about. I can answer more questions about the levels later on. So here's where this is the part that you want to pay attention to. If you're potentially a Division I or Division II athlete, you need to get registered in the NCAA Eligibility Center. And I would do that you could do it now as a junior. It's a good idea. I'll explain a little bit what this thing does. Now, if you're a Division III, junior college, NAI's got a separate one, but you don't have to really worry about this. So a lot of times juniors will, if if there's a possibility they're going to be Division I or Division II, they'll go ahead and do this, but with keeping in mind that they're also looking at Division III, okay? So when you, basically all you do is you go into this eligibility center, and I can, if the kids email me or come down to my office, we can do it in like 2 clicks. I can show them how to get in here. But basically you go into, you can Google NCAA Eligibility Center. You click on, in the top there, that little arrow, it says register. Click on that, and then you're gonna click on option 1. And then you create a login. Now, it's not complete until you've done the profile section. The profile section is like where you say you go to high school, what your GPA is, what classes you've taken, what sport you play, all that other kind of stuff. Once you've done that, it'll come up in my portal, I'll see your name, and then I will send you an email on how to send your transcripts. So, because what ends up happening is there's eligibility requirements for NCAA Division I and Division II. Now, you're not going to be able to see that, and I don't expect you to understand what it means. This is really just for me. But, and Division I and Division II has a GPA requirement, minimum 2.35 GPA, but here's the catch. That GPA is only calculated using core classes: math, science, English, social studies, world language. So PE doesn't count, music doesn't count, art electives don't count. So then what I do is I go in and I do it by hand. I put in all of the core classes, put in the number value for each grade, and I calculate the GPA to see kind of where we're at. Most of our kids are fine, but occasionally we run into Division I, Division II athletes that are hovering right around 2.4. We need to be aware of that so we can keep those grades up, so they can stay eligible. The other thing that has to happen to be eligible is you have to take 16 core classes. So what that means is that your English, math, science, social studies, world language, over the course of 4 years, you have to take 16 of those, or else you're ineligible. And you'll have to go to Moraine Valley and get those last classes in. Most of our kids are right there, especially if they're taking world language. If you're taking a world language and your grades are good, there's probably nothing to worry about, but I'll still run a check for you. That's not a problem. You could do this yourself as well, but it's probably easier if I do it. So just the kids can come down and see me. Once they get in there, we can check everything. But it helps to do it now, because if we go into senior year and we're short a core class, then I'm going to push you to take one, right? You're going to take another science because we need another core class. Does that make sense? All right. 2.35. Yeah, so the GPA is calculated based on just those core classes. So I have kids who, they're struggling in some of the core classes, but they're doing really well in PE. That doesn't matter. It only matters for those core classes, okay? As far as recruiting and things like that go, obviously you can talk to your coaches, but I'll give you a piece of advice here, just from my personal experience and having been a head coach for, 17 years. Right now, the best way to get recruited is for your son or daughter to go to a school that they're interested in and do their camp. That's where 90% of our kids will get recruited. You don't often see them standing on the sidelines anymore saying, I want that kid, right? They want you in front of them. So that's the best way to do it. Find a school you think you'd be comfortable, try one out, sign up for their camp, go there, play in front of them. That's where most of our kids will get recruited. And again, please don't count out the Division III. It's an excellent, I have sent so many players Division III, and it's been an absolute awesome experience for them. Thank you so much for your time.